All right, welcome to the Oconee County Board of Commissioners public hearing on the 2021 tax millage levy. Today is Tuesday, July 27th. If you're joining us virtually to comment during the public comment portions, please use the raise hand feature in Zoom. With that, we'll turn it over to Justin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Board of Commissioners. This is the second public hearing for the tax millage. The recommended millage rate for unincorporated portion of Oconee County is 6.65 mils, which is a decrease from the previous mills, but still by state law constitutes a tax increase of 4.99% due to the background growth in the overall digest. Similarly, the unincorporated millage rate is 7.59, which is a decrease of the previous 7.616 mils. And this is a 6.14% increase, again, due to the increase in the overall tax valuation.
Thank you. Any questions from commissioners? Okay. Do we have any public comment? Anyone virtually? Very good. Our next public hearing will be August the 3rd, and that'll be at 5:30 p.m. here at the courthouse. And then we will take action on August the 3rd at our regular meeting at 6 p.m. If there's nothing further, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing at this time. With that, we'll move into our regular meeting. So again, if you're joining us virtually, we do ask that you use the raise hand feature in Zoom when it's appropriate to make comments. After a moment of silence, we're going to ask Commissioner Mark Thomas to lead us in the pledge. Please stand for a moment. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The first item of business will be to approve the agenda. I would like to ask that we add the right-of-way abandonment for Jennings Mill Extension be added to section 5, number 5, as part of the approval.
Make a motion that we approve the agenda with the one addition.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Thank you. Motion carries. Next item will be statements and remarks from citizens. Do we have any citizens wishing to speak on anything not on our agenda? Anyone virtually? Very good. Any statements or remarks from commissioners?
No, sir.
Couple things. I'd like to announce we have received a bond rating upgrade from AA2 to AA1 from Moody's Investor Service. So this bond rating reflects the physical stability and positive financial outlook for Oconee County, and is the second highest rating on the Moody's scale. And Oconee County is one of the smallest counties in Georgia to receive the AA2 or AA1 rating. Also, congratulations to the Oconee County Coroner's Offices, who recently received accreditation from the Internal Association of Coroners and Medical Examiners. The office received accreditation after an audit of services and procedures, and it was recognized for its high level of service, timely and compassionate death investigations, and the training that the coroner receives. Work on the accreditation was paid for through a grant, the Paul Coverdale Forensic Science Improvement Grant, at no cost to local taxpayers for that process. So congratulations to Ed and his team for getting that done. Next item will be moving into county-wide matters. First item is to discuss the alcohol license application for Oconee.
Oconee, yes, they have made an application for a new alcohol license for the sale of beer and wine. The registered agent, Mrs. Angela Chin, has completed the RAS training. Oconee is located at 2061 Experiment Station Road, and the application is complete. We ask for approval of the alcohol license for Oconee.
Any questions on this one? All right, you're all right for consent agenda?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Very good. Any public comment? Anyone virtually? Thank you. Next item is the discussion of the GDOT Mars Hill Road termination of contract for maintenance. And really, there's no action here. It's just we finally got the letter that says Mars Hill now belongs back to the county. So with that, we're responsible for the maintenance on it now. So, and it did mention any punch list items that still remain, the contractor of record still responsible for those. So I think there's still a few things that the previous contractor has to do to finish. But, the road is under county control at this time. Next item is discuss TSPLOS. We did have a meeting with the mayors, and all cities have indicated the interest in continue participating in the TSPLOS. So that'll be on our agenda for next week. I think there's 2 meetings. I think Bishop meets tonight to approve their IGA, and then North High Shoals will meet Wednesday night. The other 2 cities have already approved. Just a reminder, we're talking about a possibility of 56 million. Actual will probably be closer to 44 million. With that, the county share of the budgeted amount would be almost $38 million. We're talking about taking some of that money for related services. This will be for allowable expenses from the general fund that will allow a property tax drop back funding. So we'll take the sales tax dollars to pay for stuff that the general fund is now paying for on property tax. For paths, we have roughly $3 million under the budgeted amount. We'll create a task force if the TSPLOS passes to kind of lay out what our path plan is and get ideas on improvements and rankings on how to follow that. Also, safety and intersection improvements. This will be similar to the roundabouts or extending lane widths like we did on Hog Mountain Road. We have $4 million for that. And then the bulk is $20,451,294 that'll go into road paving program to help us get caught up on that. So any questions? So we'll have more detail next week, and we'll bring it to the board for a vote. And then I think we have the Board of Elections lined up for the 4th, and they'll issue the call for the election if the resolution passes on next week. Did I miss anything?
Pretty good.
All right, cool. Next item is discussion of a bond resolution authorizing the issuance of Georgia General Obligation Bond Series 21. That.
Go ahead.
I'll add some.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. This was an item contemplated under the previous SPLOS resolution. So this would be for the administrative building. A series of bonds would be sold. Right now is an excellent time to go to the bond market to front load some of the funds. In this case, this would be to allow the front loading of $12.5 million for the administrative building. That would be paid over. This is money. The first one is paid under the current SPLOS, and then the future SPLOS would pay off the balance of it. This process going through was what resulted ultimately in the bond rating upgrade of the AA1, which we are the smallest county, both by digest, population, and area in the state to receive that high of a rating. But anyway, so this is an item that ultimately the action next week would be for the Board of Commissioners to authorize the selling of bonds, which would then go front loading the money for the administrative building.
These bonds have already been validated. We were required to do that immediately after the election and the certification of the election. So that was done back in January. So should be very easy and simple next week, except for John and Holly having to sign everything.
We'll have pricing at that point, or will that come later?
We anticipate that.
Okay, very good. Any questions on that item? Our next item is discuss RFP number 21-05019 waste hauling services. What we got on that?
I can do it.
Okay. Oh, come on up. That'll be fun.
So this is this item of business, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, is the waste hauling and recycling, sanitation, collection, and disposal. It's a renewal or a rebid of we're talking bonds. It's a rebid of the previous contract because we have gone through the 5 years that contract was for. And so we put it out on the street, had 3 vendors submit bids, and we did it in 3 different areas. You could bid on doing all the services. You could bid on doing just the recycling collection. You could bid on this the solid waste collection. Then we also put in the RFP document to see if there was any interest in having a consultant or contractor manage all of our sanitation, and none of the bidders bid on that one. And so out of the 3 bidders, we evaluated the proposals and looked at the individual services, and it was more advantageous to split the services as they are now, with Republic was the highest ranking firm for the recycling collection and disposal, and Waste Management, which was previously Advanced Disposal, was the highest ranking firm for the solid waste collection and disposal. So we would recommend that awarding those contracts, the recycling to Republic and the solid waste to Waste Management. No, you can't, I don't remember their tipping rates, but they are in the bid proposals.
These are not to exceed for fiscal year 22. Approved budget amount, solid waste is $240,000. Recyclable material collection disposal is $129,000.
And Waste Management is the current provider?
They are the current provider for solid waste.
Okay. So Republic would be a new vendor.
We have them as a vendor because our the way our recycling is today. We have a hauler, and then we have a disposal.
Okay.
And Republic manages the recycling center over in Athens where the recyclables go. So we have them as a vendor to pay for the disposal. And then we had so this is combining those 2 into one vendor.
Any questions from commissioners?
Got 2. When would it be effective date?
Really, as soon as it's approved by the board.
Okay. And the second one, was any, when I say local haulers, I'm talking about Oconee, anybody that's based in Oconee interested in it?
No, we only had 3 that submitted, and that was Waste Management, Waste Pro, and Republic.
But they were invited or?
They were.
Okay, so, okay, thank you.
Any other questions? We all right for consent agenda?
Yes, sir.
Very good. Thank you. Any public comment? Anyone virtually? Okay, our next item will be to discuss the Northeast Georgia Regional Commission FY22 Aging Services Contract. Ms. Mary?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. This is a funding contract between Northeast Georgia Regional Commission, the Oconee County Board of Commission, and the Senior Center to provide the array of services under the provisions of the Older Americans Act of 1965, and also approving the remaining federal emergency congregate meal funding that is carried over from FY21 for the purpose of serving our elderly and disabled adults and their caregivers in Oconee County. This contract period is from July 1, 2021, and is to be completed on or before June 30th, 2022.
Just our standard contract.
It's the standard yearly contract. The only difference in it this year is that we're carrying over some emergency funding due to COVID through the federal grants that they gave us, about 5 or 6 of them. And this is the one that goes out in FY22 as of September. We have to spend it out.
Any questions on this one? Be all right for consent agenda?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Any public comment? Anyone virtually? You want to go to the next one, which will be the transportation agreement?
Yes, sir. And this is the standard contract that we have every year with Northeast Georgia Regional Commission and the Department of Human Services. They are proposing the same standard $8 rate per one-way trip. And they have not given a specific amount that they will fund out to. They usually wait until their other contracts come through from the state. But the recommendation is for the contract to be from July 1, 2021 through June 30th, 2022.
Very good. Any questions? Be all right for consent? Very good.
Thank you very much.
Any public comment? Anyone virtually? Thank you. Next item is discussion of the contract modification for CW Matthews for the FY21 resurfacing. Jody?
All right, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, this item of business is contract modification for the FY21 resurfacing of the contractor CW Matthews. It's necessary due to repairing and repaving a section of Union Church Road, Price Mill Road, and then extending the overlay on Hog Mountain Road. And the Union Church Road repairs were planned to be constructed with the county's small paving contractor, but we were already paving in the area, and it made sense for CW Matthews to do that work on Union Church while they were in the area and right there. And then Price Mill Road, we resurfaced the section that was outside of the town limits in Bishop, and then the section inside the town limits was in fair condition. But by doing the whole road together, we put it all on the same paving cycle. So that will help us in the future. So the next time we go out, we won't be piecemealing it. And then Hog Mountain Road, originally we had looked at the stopping at 12 Oaks, but then we ended up resurfacing back to the limits with the ER Snell project for the experiment station widening. And we are looking at design for some improvements along that corridor to add the turn lanes. But it gives us a clean place to start that project and end that project. If the board chooses to move forward with it, we get 2 or 3 years out of what we've done, so it's not really wasted. And if the board chooses not to move forward with the turn lane project, then it ties in with the widening project. So with that, this contract modification would increase the amount authorized by the board previously of $3,502,580.25 to $3,652,258.46, or $149,677.96 over what was previously approved by the board.
That's just coming from another line item. There's really, you got the money funded in your
Yes.
budget. You're just moving it from one vendor to another.
That's correct.
Okay. Any questions on that?
No.
We are for consent.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Jody. Any public comment? Anyone virtually? Thank you. Next item is the right-of-way abandonment for Jennings Mill Extension. Daniel?
The action that we would request of the board, and I think John and I have talked about this, could be on the consent agenda for next week, is declaring that a section of the county road system is abandonment of a section of the county road system serves the best public interest. The part we're talking about, we've been over this, it's been quite a few months, I think, since we talked about this. But as you're going down the Oconee connector, cross Virgil Langford, and between Virgil Langford and the bypass, there's a development called Research Quarter that Tim Burgess owns, and Jennings Mill Extension runs through there. And what Tim is proposing that we've been looking at is a relocation of Jennings Mill Extension and an abandonment of the old right-of-way so he can put the new ones in. So this is a little tricky because what we'll do is our abandonment resolution, if you choose to move forward on it, will say that the abandonment is only effective upon their dedication of new right-of-way. So it's kind of a three-part process instead of a two-part. You'll declare it's in the best public interest of the county to abandon it. Then we'll do an abandonment resolution, and if it hadn't already been circulated, we will. There's actually already an agreement that will act as the resolution that will say, we're going to swap right-of-ways with you. And then once they've built the right-of-ways and have dedicated them, our abandonment will become official. And in that way, they'll be able to move forward with their development, and we'll have better roads instead of old roads that need work anyway.
Again, the process after it's abandoned, there'll be an advertised period and public hearings.
After y'all declare this in the best public interest, we'll run ads in the paper. And I think, Holly, this might be the first time you get to do this, so I'll help you with that. We run a couple ads in the paper, and anybody that wants to can comment. We send notices to the adjoining owners, but the only adjoining owner is Mr. Burgess and his LLC. So then you have a public hearing, and we adopt that agreement I mentioned.
Okay.
With a contingency.
Very good. Any questions? Is everybody okay with consent on that?
Yes, sir.
Any public comment? Anyone virtually? As far as I know, we don't need an executive session. Very good. So with that, Commissioner Saxon.
Motion adjourned. Second.
All right, we are adjourned. Thank you.